my first statement, the thickest file wins, the best data wins. I'm burying adjusters with this stuff. And when an adjuster says, oh, wow, how'd you do that? That's exactly where I want them.
Right.
You stay there on the uninformed, uneducated, unmoneyed side of the claim, and I'm going to bury you with data. I'm going to bury you with my file. And you're going to, guess what, adjuster, you're going to use my data for your claim file. That's the idea. That's the ticket.
This is why I think we're never going to go away. I mean, to be honest, everybody's always afraid of, with all these laws and statutes that they pass against public adjusters and this and that. I mean, they could throw at us whatever they want. At the end of the day, there's always going to have to be an advocate for the policyholder. We're just going to have to be, and I think we're going to be around forever.
My email was sent to the insured early on in the process. And I was telling them, you need to be careful what you say to your adjuster, because Country Insurance, Country Financial will take every opportunity to deny your claim.
Look, let's face it. My number one referral source is contractors, okay? Obviously, and past clients. That's always going to be number one. So I got to be cool with them. But at the same time, it drives me crazy when these contractors don't team up with PAs in a way. I mean, again, I've got referral sources that are contractors, so I've managed to convince them. But there's how many contractors out there that just, I handle it myself. Why am I going to give up the 10 or 20% when I can do it myself?
Somewhere along the line, I'm assuming a public adjuster I was working along, the opposite side of the same claim with, turned me into the state for the unlicensed practice of public adjusting. UPA.
But that's not what that is. You're just putting an estimate together. You're not negotiating. You're not stating policy. You're not.
Very astute of you, Vince. Very astute of you. And I raised that same argument. I said, let me tell you, let me explain something to you, ladies. Let me lay it out for you. Let me explain why I don't think this is UPA.
It makes sense.
No. Is that what I think it is?
I called a bunch of attorneys too, and I explained it to them, and they're just like, makes sense.
Makes sense. Why not? Weird thoughts from space.
Weird thought. Yes, exactly.
They tell you how to do the job and how to bill. Actually, they don't let you bill. They bill for you. So what they'll do is they'll give you 60 cents on the dollar. They're gonna bill the carrier full boat, but they're gonna give you 60 cents on the dollar. That's how Code Blue makes their money. So Wardlaw, if you're a contractor out there and somebody calls you and trying to reduce your bill for work you've already done, just tell them no and hang up the phone. If they call again, don't answer the phone, because guess what? The check's gonna come because you're not willing to negotiate with terrorists. Don't play by imaginary rules. Show me the balls.
Oh yeah, in the beginning I wasn't trained. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't trained at all. I mean, I was literally just a sales guy. That's the big epidemic here in Florida too, is they hire a lot of adjusters to be sales guys. Like, no, you got to train them how to do the work.
Oh man.
They don't take their jobs, I guess, seriously enough. So that's what I'm trying to do. I want to help with the industry. Just really, I love the coaching. That's just my passion. I mean, I was a tennis coach for 15 years, man.
Okay.
I mean, I taught kids from 4 years old to 94 years old.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
And that's what I want to do. Give back to the industry that's given me so much. What's up, advocates, and welcome back to another episode of the Claims Game podcast. I'm your host, Vince Perry, licensed and certified public adjuster for a very long time now. My company is Elite Resolutions. You can find us at eliteresolutionsclaims.com, where we handle claims all over Florida and all over Texas mainly, and we're also taking on public adjusters. So anybody who is an aspiring public adjuster or already a public adjuster looking for a nice company to work for, come send us a message and see if you can become a part of our team. And I am the Commercial Claims Advocate, where you could find us on commercialclaimsadvocate.com. And on commercialclaimsadvocate.com, you could check out our online courses that we have for advocates and public adjusters, and also our meetups that we have throughout the country, where we all sort of get together, talk shop, get educated, and we're talking contractors, public adjusters, attorneys, and everything under the sun. Advocates is what I like to call all of us, because we're all basically sort of in it for the same purpose, to advocate for the policyholder. You could find my stuff on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and what's the other one? LinkedIn and Facebook, of course. So, all right, today I got a very special guest, somebody who actually took our course, a very good friend, Andrew McCabe. Andrew McCabe is the owner of Claims Delegates. Andrew McCabe is an expert estimator. He has been doing estimates since about 2005, I believe. The guy knows his stuff. He knows his Xactimate. He loves Matterport. He knows how to sketch. He knows how to just knock them all out. He's got a really great company where he's got adjusters out in Louisiana helping with those storms. He's based out of Oregon, and he's got a ton of claims there. He's also a licensed public adjuster, which is very interesting as well. And he just knows his stuff. He knows his stuff to the point where he's got his own YouTube channel. Check him out, Claims Delegates YouTube channel, Claims Delegates. And you could also, he's got his own course. That's how much he knows. He's got his own course. You can go on the 24hourtech.com or waterdamageprofit.com, and you can see his 24-hour tech video training course where he basically teaches you how to properly scope and how to properly write a legitimate estimate on behalf of the policyholder. So check him out. Check out those websites. Very, very prevalent on LinkedIn. So if you really want to see his stuff on a daily basis, LinkedIn is the place to go. But also check out his YouTube channel. Really cool YouTube channel where he really talks about Xactimate, estimating, what to do, what not to do when you're putting these estimates together to present to the carrier. So enjoy it. I think you will. Great conversation. Like I said, we're just like a couple friends just going back and forth about some very interesting topics and also how to be successful in this business. So check it out. Andrew McCabe, really great guy. I think you'll enjoy it. Go for it.
Welcome to the Claims Game Podcast with Vince Perry. Get all the tips you need from insurance claim advocates and professionals and grow your public adjusting career to the next level. And now the commercial claims advocate, Vince Perry.
Like it.
You like it? Are you bouncing up and down a little bit?
I do all that post, my stuff. So you do it live. I like it.
We got to do it live. That's just like lets everybody know that we are live, that the podcast, that the Claims Game podcast is live.
Boom.
What's up, Andy? How you doing?
Man, I am living large. Trying to catch my ass with both hands and not being successful. Hurricane Ida has got me spun. And it mostly in a good way, but man, there's a lot of work out there. A lot of work.
Really? So what are you doing for Hurricane Ida?
Working for a PA down there, working for a couple contractors down there, trying to prop up my own PA business down there. So I got a partner down there. He lives in Metairie. He's born and raised in Metairie, so it's perfect. Let's do the PA thing. And I was online looking for a URL, and I was looking for NOLA claims. That's taken. But Google, in their infinite wisdom, suggested bigeasyclaims.com. And I said, that's the one.
That's awesome. I like that a lot.
So now it's got to go get a bond. And a license, something.
So
to be legit.
for the crowd, for the millions all across the globe listening to the Claims Game podcast right now, why don't you tell everyone about Andy McCabe and what you're about, you public adjuster extraordinaire, estimating master.
That's a big intro for a long career of making it up as I go along.
There's a GIF out there of a guy who sort of looks like Tom Cruise, but it's not. And he's sitting on a couch and he's just like with glasses on. He's just like juggling like this. And I'm like, I put it on Facebook one day. I'm like, that is entrepreneurship.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Every day it's like, let's try this and see how it goes.
I should have a dartboard, just throw stuff at. So I started in 1999, 2000. I needed a job out of college. I had a marketing degree, and this restoration company in Portland, Oregon was hiring a marketing director. Little did I know it was just a candy dropper, really. It was just a stop and drop guy to see every agent in the Portland market. I didn't care. I needed a job. So I took the job. 34 months in, I'm sitting down with the owner of Dow Columbia Restoration, probably the third or fourth founding member of ASCR. These were old school restorers, old school. And he said, you got half a brain. Why don't you come over to the estimating side? And so that's what I did. But before I could do that, they said, we don't hire any estimators that don't have in the field experience. So I was like, all right, what's that mean? It means go take your water damage certification and you're a technician for the next year. And that was me. So I was a water damage technician. Then I was an estimator, project manager, And then, fast forward several years, and I had really good experience. I was a general manager of a couple of restoration companies. And as it turns out, I'm a fairly terrible employee. I don't play well with others that don't see my point of view. So I've got a long list of companies I have worked for, and I've been let go in one way, shape, or form. So 2012, I decided I don't want to get fired anymore. So what's the best way to do that? Well, work for yourself, start your own business. So Claims Delegates was born 2012. I said, I'm going to write estimates for everyone. I'm going to be the gateway drug for common contractors to get into this strange restoration world. And it was good until the state of Oregon called and said, we need you to come down to Salem and have a talk. And I said, okay, I can talk. I like talking. Well,
like you're in trouble talk, or like a talk to speak to people and educate them.
Yeah, well, yeah, the latter is what I thought. The former is what it turned out to be.
Oh, okay.
I drove down to Salem, which was 45 minutes out of Portland. Drove down there, walked into a room with two very nice, nicely dressed young ladies. They closed the door behind me, and I realized I was in a room with no windows, and asked me to sit down across the table. They both sat down. One of them pushed
Did you have an attorney present? Oh God.
That would make way too much sense. That would require forward thought on my part.
Then you wouldn't be like the GIF that I told you.
Oh my God. So when one of them pushed a tape recorder across the table and the other one pushed a badge across the table, I knew I was in for a very different conversation than I thought I was going to have. So, at the end of the day, what I was doing was writing estimates in Xactimate for insurance claims for whoever would hire me. And somewhere along the line, I'm assuming a public adjuster I was working along, the opposite side of the same claim with, turned me into the state for the unlicensed practice of public adjusting. UPA.
But that's not what that is. You're just putting an estimate together. You're not negotiating. You're not stating policy. You're not.
Very astute of you, Vince. Very astute of you. And I raised that same argument. I said, let me tell you, let me explain something to you, ladies. Let me lay it out for you. Let me explain why I don't think this is UPA. And so I laid out the claim framework. I put 3 dots. They were kind enough to provide me a pen and paper. So I was drawing it out. I drew 3 circles in a triangle: carrier, contractor, insured. And describing the claim process, blah, blah, blah. And I said, at some point, the contractor and the carrier, the adjuster, they start having conversations, negotiating things like, are these high grade cabinets or low grade cabinets? Are these, was that a VCT, or was that an engineered product, or was that real hardwoods? Man, just negotiating stuff like that. And the lady, one of the gals said, let me stop you right there, Mr. McCabe. At this point, when you're having that negotiation, she called it a negotiation. When you're having that negotiation with the adjuster, where's the homeowner in this? And I said, well, they check out. They hire the contractor because they don't want to deal with the adjuster. They don't want to deal. They don't understand the claim process, so they're not educated in it. Blah blah blah. And she said, right there, when you're having that conversation between those two entities, you are in violation of Oregon state law.
And which states?
Oregon.
Yeah, but which
it's negotiating a claim on behalf of an insured. So I said, if I'm breaking the law, this law has been being broke 1,000 times a day across the country. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, Mr. McCabe, we're not here to talk about every other contractor. We're here to talk about you.
Oh my God.
And I'll give you 3 options. Option number 1, you can keep doing what you're doing and we'll fully investigate you. Man, it wasn't really what I was in the mood for. Option number 2, stop doing what you're doing. Also not in the mood for that because I got to put food on the table. Option number 3,
Become
Go
a
get your
public
license.
adjuster.
I'll give you 90 days.
Simple.
And all of a sudden, Andy McCabe, who never intended to be a public adjuster, was a licensed public adjuster in the state of Oregon. And then
were you doing estimates for just restoration contractors? Did you do any estimates for public adjusters before?
No, I did estimates for homeowners. I worked a couple of homeowners claims and got them hundreds of thousands of dollars they wouldn't be able to get on their own because
just by putting the estimate together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And you weren't doing any kind of UPA violation. You were just putting the estimate together. Here you go. Present this to your insurance company. You're probably going to get a lot more than what you get with whatever they're going to put in. Mm-hmm. You know, I tell that to clients sometimes. I have no problem doing that. Like, look, if you don't want to hire me, that's fine. But go get somebody who could put an estimate together for you and just present that to the insurance company and see how it goes.
Because they don't speak the language. Right. Like we speak the language. We understand it.
Yeah.
But evidently that's an UPA violation.
That was a pretty good story. Holy moly, that must have been terrifying. A badge.
Yeah. And when they push the tape recorder across the table and hit record right then, you're like, oh, damn.
You could say fuck. You could say fuck. Only adults are watching this. There's pretty sure kids are not watching this at all. They could care less.
Was
it a real badge? Was it a real badge though? Or was it like
legit.
One of those ones you get in Halloween, you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know.
Was it one of those where they just flip?
They just flip it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, you never know.
It could, but at that point they had me. That was the whole I was hooked. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Let me try to back my way out of this.
How many years had you been putting the estimates together? I might have missed that.
No more than one or two. You know, so I want to say it was 2013, midway through 2013, and I started in 2012.
And if they really wanted to, they could probably hit you with a violation or a fine for every single claim that you did throughout that year, right?
Yeah, but they had no way to know. That's the thing. I didn't have any, none of that would be public, right? I didn't interact with any adjusters. And all the work I did was either for a contractor or a homeowner, and the homeowner was just, anyway. But my name was on those estimates, so I guess they could have found out, figure it out.
Wow.
But anyway,
look, it led you into the most amazing career, a wonderful career of public adjusting.
Yes, it did.
Listen, I call it the greatest job in the world. It's got its ups, it's got its downs, but it's really nice what we do. I think, defending the homeowner, doing what we can, defending their rights as a little old and homeowner who doesn't know what the hell they're doing against a multi-billion-dollar industry. We're doing what we can to defend them. So I think it's a nice job.
What I like to say, what I've started saying recently, is the insurance companies have a 400-year head start, if not longer, on how to keep as much of that premium dollar as they can. And you had a claim in Hurricane Ida. All right. You've been in this industry, as a homeowner, if you're a victim of the Hurricane Ida, you've been in this industry for 4 weeks. They've been in it for 400 years. Who do you think has the better playbook? Mm-hmm. The industry needs folks like us, badly, like worse than I think most people recognize how underrepresented the insured public is.
This is why I think we're never going to go away. I mean, to be honest, everybody's always afraid of, with all these laws and statutes that they pass against public adjusters and this and that. They could throw at us whatever they want. At the end of the day, there's always going to have to be an advocate for the policyholder. We're just going to have to be, and I think we're going to be around forever. So,
yeah.
How's Louisiana? How's Ida? How's the experience out there? Are you there? Are you traveling there a lot? Or are you just getting a lot of assignments and, putting whatever you can together while you're still at home base?
I've got my guy there.
Awesome.
So we're running the Matterport camera, we're running FLIRs, we're running protometers, we're running drones. So with him running moisture inspections and drones and Matterports, I can do a whole lot of the rest of the claim from here, from Bend. But Louisiana, as it turns out, is a very difficult state to do PA work in. You can't charge a contingency fee there. Do you know that?
I want nothing to do with it. That's me personally. Yeah. I understand everybody that gets FOMO and they want to go out there and they want to start. I get it. I've got too much going on here. No thanks.
No,
I heard, not just the contingency thing, but I just heard that they won't talk to you. They don't care. They're not going to talk to public adjusters. They don't want anything to do with public adjusters. You can't really do much. You kind of have your hands tied.
they'll say, screw you, sue me. And that's what you end up having to do. The lawyers are going to clean up. The lawyers have a really good environment in Louisiana. The PAs, you can't charge a contingency. You can't receive a check for more than your fee. So what insurance company is going to stroke a separate check for the fee? None of them are going to stroke a check for that. So
I also heard they don't put your name on the check too, right?
Oh, no, they won't. So I
talked to an adjuster actually the other day who was telling me that what's the most annoying part about his experience in Louisiana so far is that it's enough for us to have to stress dealing with the insurance company. But he's like, now, not only am I stressing that, I'm also having to deal with the homeowner who doesn't want to pay me. And they feel they get this check that's made out to them. And all of a sudden it's like, well, what do you mean? I don't have to pay you anything. And that's not cool.
No, you almost have to go into it with an attorney in your back pocket. You've got to have some backup, right? And maybe go into each one of these relationships with representation. It's complicated enough that I decided I'm going to get my license there just so I don't have a repeat of 2013. But that's it. I'm not going to go chase claims in New Orleans. It's just too hazardous. Plus there's plenty of contractors I can go work for. There's contractors need what I got in my Xactimate expertise. I can do that. I don't need to go chase. I had my favorite Oregon attorney on the phone yesterday, and I describing that you can't charge a contingency, and he said, then why are you there?
Right.
Why would you even do it? And I'm like, good question. Great question.
Is that are the contractors, is that pretty much your number one as far as in Louisiana? And is that your number one, I guess, referral source? That's where you're getting a lot of your business?
Nationwide. Yeah. My business overall, Claims Delegates, is mainly there. I like it. I mentioned gateway drug. I like to be that stepping stone for non-restorers to get into restoration, because a lot of them, they know how to do good work. They know how to get the work. And they're getting asked to do this type of work. They don't know how to communicate, in the language of Xactimate, and I can give them that, and just give them that in, and open up this market. It's a $300 billion market that no one really knows how to get into. You get it. There's a ton of hacks out there. There's a ton of folks out there chasing the money, but they get into it and they have no idea what they're doing. And they wonder why their receivables are 300, 400 grand over 120 days. I can't get paid. Well, you didn't talk the talk. And anyway.
Okay. So you're mainly, that's your business model? Business model is mainly contractors putting together like an expert report with photos, with arrows, with all kinds of stuff. Here's the damage here. Here's the damage there. Here's our evidence of a wind event. Here's our moisture mapping and where all the water's coming from. Here's our estimate, obviously, and here's what you need to present. And you give this to the contractor, so the contractor could present maybe to the homeowner on behalf of them and to the insurance company and so on and so forth.
But the funny thing is, I believe if you're a licensed contractor, you're not violating UPA by doing that. I think there's a big gray area. I think we can all agree. Everyone out there heard that story earlier and like, that's bullshit. That's horseshit. What are you talking about? But I think there's a lot of negotiating that happens every day between the adjuster and the GC. So they can talk that talk, but I always say the thickest file wins. So bury them.
Yeah.
Bury them. They're going to come with a stick drawing. I'm going to hit them with a Matterport. No Matterport, no file with a Matterport attached to it goes to trial because it's irrefutable evidence, juries eat it up. Matterport presents very well at trial. So if you have a Matterport, the likelihood of the carrier willing to go to trial on that Matterport is a lot lower than if you have some Polaroids and a hand-drawn, stick-drawn thing, whatever.
Well, let's face it, the Matterport just looks really freaking cool.
It does. It's sexy. It's sexy.
You're a big advocate.
I show you my toy.
You love that Matterport. You have been raving about that thing for a very long time.
I have. And the fine folks over at Insta360 sent me this bad boy.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So that's all I used. Actually, I take that back. I did use the Big Pro 2 once last week, but for the most part, it was all Insta360. You can do it on your phone with one of these. You don't need this big setup. It's not complicated. And so
wait, can you put that up there again so I could name it again so those who aren't watching it on YouTube?
Screenshot it. Okay, here's a Insta360 1X2. This is their next version of the 1X. And nice. I would say it's comparable to the Ricoh Theta Z1.
Nice. Got it.
And you need this in a tripod. And so we've done from last week, $7 million worth of estimates last week. I didn't draw one thing in Xactimate.
Huh.
I took the Matterport. I sent it to my dudes. My dudes sent my ESX back with the sketch. Done and done.
And then you wrote it.
Well, then I wrote it, yeah.
Right. So you got all the sketch, everything's done. You don't have to do anything. How long does it take? I guess it depends on the house, but that does everything. You just you give that to your guy in Louisiana, and he just puts it in every room. Pum, 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 pum. Next room. Pop, 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 pop. Next room.
It takes a couple hours per property. But now we're doing the hover on the, this is the first storm I've done the hover and the Matterport combined.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pay for the professional version of hover, you can pay $65 and get the siding and the roof in the ESX as well.
Interesting.
So I didn't draw one roof in Xactimate last week.
That's got to cut down your estimate writing by just
days.
Half or days.
Days.
Wow.
And that's why I do it. A, because it saves time. And B, I don't have to have someone with my level of experience in the field getting the data. That's the beauty of it. I think that's the model I think everyone's going to go to is let's put for lack of a better term, let's put a dummy in the field with some really cool tech. Well, you can too. I could send a link to a homeowner and they could use this to do their own hover report and it goes directly to my account.
Oh.
Think about it.
What, they have to set that up on the tripod, the phone?
No, hover? You never used it?
I've never used it, no.
Oh man, you take 8 pictures. It walks you through it.
Hover report.
Yeah, hover.to I think is a hover.to.
Let's see what this hover.to is all about. 8 photos,
pictures.
Endless possibilities. What the hell does that mean? Please explain.
Well, you don't want to get in a roof anymore. I bought a drone because I didn't want to get on roofs, right? You don't have to get on the roof anymore. The app does all the fancy whatever pictometry they want to do, photogeometry, whatever they call it. 8 pictures, and I've got a report. I can pull those measurements in a matter of hours, or like less than an hour. Yeah, see if you can do a solution. Oh, it even has restoration professionals on there. Interesting.
So we're on the hover.to website for anybody who's interested in what they've got. And you basically take 8 photos and you get a whole 3D rendering of the house. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Transform your business.
And I can send a link. I can send a link for free to a homeowner or a contractor. They do their own takeoff. And before I pay for the ESX report, I can qualify that lead.
Look at
and
that.
It cuts down. This is going to cut down windshield time like nobody's business. Right? How many roofers are out there driving? Where if you get a qualified lead in the door, just send them a link. Why is this ringing? I thought this was off. Huh.
It's okay. It happens.
Yeah,
so with the contractors, you have your guy go out there, they call you, you do your, how often do you use the hover report? What is it that exactly does hover give you when you put that thing in there, when you use it?
Measurements.
Gotcha.
Full-blown
8
diagram.
photos?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With 8 photos? And how do the 8 photos go? What is that?
You just front and then clockwise or counterclockwise around the house.
That's insane.
And even the zero lot lines, I was surprised. I mean, there's some houses that are really close together and you can't get the whole thing. The instructions say you get the whole side, right? Well, it's not possible. But some of those, you just catch a corner and get that side photo, it still does it. So I'm pretty sure there's some magic elves involved in the North Pole somehow, but right. It just does it. It just does it.
That's fascinating. And how long have you been using Matterport? Because I know since we met, I don't know, it's been about a year now, I guess. You've always raved about it. How long have you been using Matterport?
Hurricane Florence, 2018, gotcha. North Carolina, Wilmington, or Topsail Beach was my first go. And I actually bought it off of our good friend David Herring over at Right Loss. And he had a spare one. And I said, can you get it to me? And he overnighted it to me. And I actually did a Facebook Live of the unboxing. But I see technology like this, it's just a matter of time before it's on a little tiny drone and it flies in the house by itself and you don't have to touch it. But this is going to change how claims are handled. Period. End of story. And back to my first statement, the thickest file wins. The best data wins. I'm burying adjusters with this stuff. And when an adjuster says, oh, wow, how'd you do that? That's exactly where I want them.
Right.
You stay there on the uninformed, uneducated, unmoneyed side of the claim, and I'm going to bury you with data. I'm going to bury you with my file. And you're going to, guess what, adjuster, you're going to use my data for your claim file. That's the idea. That's the ticket. The first number, I'm a big fan of saying the first number always wins. Either I'm going to start at the adjuster's numbers and try to work my way up, or I'm going to force them to start with my number and try to force me down. 100%.
And for those that don't know, Andy's got he's got a great YouTube channel that really talks about, the reports that he puts together, estimating, Matterport, restoration estimating, all kinds of stuff. He's got his own book that he's written that he has somewhere that he showed to me earlier.
About water damage. Really boring stuff, but
no, not for us. He's got a course as well. If you go, the 24hourtech.com is a place you can go. You can purchase his course as well. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is that Andy knows his stuff. He definitely knows his stuff when it comes to putting estimates together and putting reports together. What would you say, if you could just go from top down, what does one of your reports entail?
Well, it's going to have the backup data. It's going to have the hover report. It's going to have the Matterport, obviously the Matterport tour. I'm going to have when it makes sense, usually larger losses. One came to mind. So I did a Matterport 5-story, not a hotel, 5-story hospital. And I was, the contractor wanted me to put together the mitigation invoice based on removed materials and equipment list. And while I was doing that scan, a lot of his equipment was still there. So I caught it in the Matterport. Well, I took a link. You can go on Matterport and link. I mean, I could pull it up if I was prepared, but you can go in Matterport and link to any spot in that scan. So where it said air scrubber in the hallway number 5, 5,000 CFM air scrubber, it had a link in Xactimate to that. You click on it, it goes right to the Matterport. And what do you know? I'm in the 5th level hallway, and there, I'll be damned, there is an air scrubber there.
Interesting.
It's back to the irrefutable evidence. I'm going to rub your nose in it. I'm going to prove to you beyond a shadow of doubt this equipment was there. This material was removed. This needed to happen, And here's my estimate. Most of the estimates I do are not done on a normal price list. So it's going to be a customized market pricing. But I like to think it's one of the most organized Xactimate files you'll see. It's going to have headers. It's going to be organized real clean. It's going to make sense. It's going to read easy. And then it's going to have all the backup documentation to it. So you ask what's it looks like. I don't know. It looks like an Xactimate. It's not sexy.
No, I think it looks better than that. I know there's I've seen a report that you put together, and it looks a lot better than that. Do you mostly work? I know I asked you this question. I know you said yes, but how often do you work with public adjusters? I guess other public adjusters and helping them put their file together. That's weird.
I was thinking about it today, and it's about the value proposition. And if someone has in their head what something is worth, it doesn't matter if you're worth more, they're not going to recognize your value.
Have you discussed your value to a public adjuster and shown them an example of your work?
I'm a big fan of not trying to preach to the unconverted. I'd rather speak to those who understand.
I think you're selling yourself short. I think if somebody saw one of your reports, they'd be like, you know what? That's worth it.
Well, then let them. I'm just not going to go out of my way to try to convince someone that needs convincing, because there's plenty of folks out there that don't need convincing. Just say, here, take my money. So I had a guy complaining about a $700 bill today, $750. He said, I owe you $750. Man, that's a lot of money. And I pulled up his estimate. And I said, I just wrote revenue to your company for $345,000. And you're complaining, huh? No, it wasn't PA. It was a GC. Okay. But you're complaining about $700 you had to spend to make $345,000.
That is making sense.
I think we're having the wrong conversation here. Let's reevaluate our positions. Because what we do as estimators, we print people money. It's as simple as that. So if you're a PA or a contractor or a homeowner, my job is to print you money. But PAs have, well, not all PAs, but some PAs just have this idea that Xactimate is simple, it's data entry, I shouldn't pay more than $150 a file. But guess what? If you pay $150 for a file, you're getting $150 worth of value. You're not getting someone you're not getting 20 years of restoration experience in that $150 file.
Well, I think with PA is a little bit different. What you put together, I know is worth much more than $150, but I think PA is a little bit different because we're getting a percentage of that $300,000 as opposed to the entire $300,000.
True. Where I think all the functions of this, the estimating and the moisture mapping and all that should be a claims expense. And
that's another thing, right? So one thing that I've started doing, I've actually started adding my PA fee to the end of the estimate. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm paying someone like you to do what I need done, or if I'm doing all that work and I'm, investigating the claim and I'm taking all those photos and I'm doing my own moisture mapping or whatever it is, whether I'm paying you to do it or providing you information as well to help you with your file, I also think it should be, I can't use the term cost incurred because technically they're not incurred, but it's the same thing as mitigating the loss. It's the same thing as hiring an engineer to help investigate your side of the loss. It's the same thing as calling out a plumber to do a repair. Like all of it is pretty much the same. I mean, if what we're doing is investigating the loss, putting together a proof of loss, providing that proof of loss to the carrier, and following the duties after the loss, why the hell aren't we getting paid for that separately in addition to what they're getting paid for build back?
They don't want to pay for it. It doesn't mean it's not covered.
It does not mean it's not covered. And to all the PAs out there, I'm telling you right now, I'm doing this myself. I am putting the PA fee as a line item at the bottom. I think I should put it in there.
Don't do it that way. Don't do it that way.
Why not?
Add it like tax. Add it like your permit line item. The permit line item in Xactimate is added at the end as a percentage. It's the additional fees. There's an additional fees section in Xactimate. Don't put it as a line item. Put it as an additional fee. I'll show you how to do that. Well, it's all right. I'm pulling up Xactimate now. We can keep talking.
Oh, no, you're not. Oh, my. Now we're going to send everybody straight to that nap that I was talking about. Exactly. I'm kidding. No, I was just kidding. I was kidding. Seriously, if you want to pull it up. I got a pillow for you. So don't put it as a line item because if you do, I guess you're right because then they're going to bitch and moan about it.
Anything you put in as a line item is you're putting it up as a negotiating point. You're putting it up as this is something we can talk about, just like drywall removal or an air mover or a DHU. The PA fee, you're making a negotiating point. Don't do that. Make it as a tax. Now I just switched over to X1, so I don't know my way around as much, but I think it's right here. There it is. Okay, how do I share my screen?
I allowed you to share, so you can go ahead and share.
Share screen. I'm just going to do the whole thing. And right here, additional charges. Boom. And you can see permits already in there.
Right.
It's got nothing attached to it. Add an additional charge. PIA. Flat fee? No, I want a percentage. Percentage of the items? I want 10%. Boom, boom, boom. And that's it. And it'll show up at the very end.
At the very end. What line item? Is that going to be in the...
Not even going to be a line item.
Right. That's going to be in the... Hold on. I'm looking at an estimate right now. I just want to make sure I call it right. It's going to be in the permits. Let me see here.
It's going to be one of the last pages before the sketch.
I've got material sales tax. Is that where it's going to go? No. Subtotal overhead and profit.
Well, if you don't have a permit line item in that estimate, it's not going to show up.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, you could probably real quick just go into additional charges on that and then put in a number. Put a $500. Add additional charge. PIA. Whatever. Now we're going deep. We're going super deep.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I think this is very, very helpful and useful for public adjusters out there because, and the other thing is you could at least tell the client, like, hey, we're charging our fees on top of it, just so you know. Like, it's not coming out of your payment, and nor should it.
And back to your previous point about costs incurred, I put Matterport fees in here too.
100%. I
put 20 cents a foot, by the way, IDA current market, 20 cents a foot to do Matterport scans. On the commercial side, that adds up quick.
Oh my God, I can imagine.
But I did $25,000 worth of Matterporting last week. And that fee got put into that emergency services invoice for that mitigator.
Right.
It did, because they're getting compensated for that. Because guess what? That mitigator, that invoice doesn't go to the adjuster. That invoice goes to the business owner.
Right.
The business owner incurred that cost. So all y'all mitigators out there, charge your client, invoice your client, and put in all the appropriate charges, including my fees.
Right. Overhead and profit.
Our industry eats way too many fees. We eat way too many fees in this industry. There's no good reason for it. I got an airplane to go to New Orleans. That airplane ticket was split up among those jobs that I did. There's mobilization fees in mitigation invoices. You get, I don't know how many Sunbelt invoices I saw last week. You have big desiccant dehumidifiers and gin sets. Well, guess what else is on Sunbelt invoices? Mobilization fees, hotels for their crews to set up the equipment, mileage charges from port to port. If Sunbelt can charge it, why can't we charge it?
Right.
I know. Weird. I started this new meme series called Weird Thoughts from Space, because the shit that comes out of my mouth makes too much sense. It's got to be from space, right?
Andy, 13 years or so, 14 years now coming up as a PA, and I never used to put my PA fee. I never used to charge. I mean, never. I just started doing this. I'm literally started doing this the last few months.
Mm-hmm. Who did I get that? Yeah, I got it from. He gives classes from time to time.
Cal Spoon.
Cal Spoon. I saw that, and I saw he did a screenshot of a PDF, and I was like, "Wait, whoa!"
It makes sense.
Is that what I think it is?
I called a bunch of attorneys too, and I explained it to them, and they're just like, "Makes sense."
Makes sense. Why not? Weird thoughts from space.
Weird thought. Yes, exactly. So you said in the I'm looking at an estimate now in the permitting fees. Is that what you're suggesting?
And then add
estimated permit fees,
charge.
and then add additional charge. All right, PAs, listen to Andy over here,
because that's how Cal does it. That's how Cal explained it to me, and that's how he does it.
Yeah, but I've seen Cal's estimates too. There's it says a line item. It says PIA fee on it.
Well, he could be doing it different ways for different. different
I actually
strokes.
just took his course a couple weeks ago, and that's what he had.
How was that? I think I need to go do that.
It was intense.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's really good. I strongly
dude.
recommend it. He's
Anybody
an intense
that shakes
dude.
their head is an intense dude.
He's an intense dude. His wife is an intense woman. And even Sean Hodge is an intense attorney. Really great people though. I like people who are real. I've always been like that. I like people who you see what you get, you know?
Yes, sir.
And Cal's like that. Cal's like, he's not going to beat around the bush. He's going to tell it like it is. And I like that because there's nothing going on behind there, you know?
You know where you stand. You know where you stand.
When you see Cal in person, it's all hugs. You know?
Yeah. Nice.
But I would recommend his course.
You ever interacted with Jack Hanks?
Mm-hmm. I have.
What's he like?
Jack is a great
talk
guy
about
too.
A dude behind his back, but let's do it anyway. I don't know him personally, but I see his stuff. He's all over the place. He's always on a roof, flashing.
He's always flashing a peace sign on like 2,000 square roof,
millions
something like that. You know, Jack's a great guy. I love Jack. Jack's another one too. Like, there's just something about Jack. I mean, Jack's just a loving guy too. Like, the guy will like leave comments on my stuff on Facebook. I love you, buddy. Like, you know, I don't know. That's what we've got going on. I think in this PA industry that wasn't like that in the beginning of my career. It was more competition back then. Now we've sort of begun to realize, you know what, we're all in this fight together. You know, and it's not us against us. It's us against the insurance company. And like I said in a presentation I did, one of my meetups the other day, is we are under attack.
Yes, we are. Public
adjusters are under attack on a daily basis. And every year when these things go up to the Senate or to any kind of these new SB bills and Senate bills and stuff like that, they go up. It's always just to make our lives more difficult, which ultimately not only hurts us. We'll figure out a way, but it ultimately hurts the homeowner.
It does. It hurts the insured.
And if we're not coming together to try to just figure it out when they decide to put a new regulation on us or put a new statute against us or put a new whatever the hell they want to put on, if we're not sort of coming together to try to figure it out, then it's only going to hurt. It's only going to hurt us.
You know what I think hurts worse is when we follow rules that don't exist.
Well, that's the thing, right? So that's what I mean. I see a nice little certificate back there from a course that you might have taken. One thing that I stress in the course that we've got is don't be afraid.
That's the old one. That's the one right there.
There it is.
Do it. Who's that guy?
Don't be afraid to let the insurance company know what's up. Like. And again, I'm to blame. I'm only saying this because I know this from experience, and I know new public adjusters or even seasoned public adjusters that they just sort of take it. We don't have to take it.
So I've got two sentences up here on my blackboard you can't see. One says, "What rules are imaginary?" And the other one is, "Which rules are immutable?" And I'll tell you, the list of imaginary rules is much longer than the list of actual rules. And I had another quote up here before I erased it. You ever watch Game of Thrones?
Oh, is there anybody in the world that hasn't?
You see there's a prequel coming out? I said there's a prequel, the whole series prequel. Anyway, so there's a scene, it happens in a tower where the small Lannister, the dwarf Lannister, is
that's what my friends call me. We haven't met in person, so I know you're a tall guy. So I'm not that tall.
So his bodyguard, Tyrion's bodyguard is fighting for his honor.
I remember.
And there's a tower with a hole in the middle, the whatever it's called, and so they fight, and eventually Tyrion's bodyguard wins and throws the guy out into the well of souls or whatever they call it. And the queen says, "Oh, you don't fight with honor." And the guy says, "No, but he did." And in the
brawn, man.
Yes. The moral of that story is there are no rules in a fight to the death. So let's stop playing by other people's rules. It's not a fight. It's not a big fight for them, right? No adjuster is willing to die on that sword. But when they threaten our livelihoods, they're threatening our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need to adhere ourselves to some imaginary code of honor for their behalf. We don't have any, we have very few rules we have to follow. So stop following dumb imaginary rules.
Imaginary rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I could.
You don't fight with honor. Well, no, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I shouldn't erase it.
I don't know. My favorite line is, "I drink and I know things."
And I know things.
But no, in all seriousness, I had an adjuster call my client the other day. We just submitted the claim, supplemental claim, and the adjuster that wrote up the claim just calls the insured. Hey, I saw that you just reopened a claim with a public adjuster. Why'd you do that? Why didn't you just call me? And we could have just tried to figure it out. Why'd you call a public adjuster? You know they're just going to drag the claim out.
Why'd you make me call a public adjuster? Yeah.
That's exactly what he said.
You know, if carriers and their adjusters would treat the insured with respect and honor, we wouldn't need to exist.
So my response
was,
"Good morning, Mr. Bleep. I spoke with our insured on Friday, and he informed me that you reached out to him. Not only did you, and this is for all public adjusters to not be afraid to, you got to just stand up for yourself.
Stand up.
Not only did you exclude us from your communications with the insured, but you also told him we would be delaying the process and would have been better off not hiring a public adjuster and reaching out and just to reach out to you directly. This is unacceptable behavior, and quite frankly, I feel as though you may not be entering this claim investigation in good faith. As I'm sure you know, the insurer may not exclude the public adjuster from communications with the insured. With that being said, I expect that the rest of your communications to come through us first."
Yeah. You don't
That's
need
it.
issues.
It's just simple. And you got it in writing and you got it here. So if everything goes south or something happens, you're going to always have that in litigation, in the courtroom,
in writing.
or whatever. And
My favorite question I've ever answered in a deposition was not to be confused with my favorite answer I've ever given on the stand, which is two different things, but they had all my emails.
You're going to trial way too much, Andy. What's going on? You got
I love
recordings and badges a little bit too much in your face.
I love sitting in front of a jury and just laying it out there, because when you just lay it out there, it's simple. It's dead simple. So I wrote an email to my insured. This is early on. This is one of my very first PA clients. I just got my license. I'm like, I'm going to go be a PA. Millions, not so much. And so I sent this email.
Well, unless you're Jack Hanks.
Unless you're Jack Hanks, and then you're me. Yes. And so
by
this
the way,
comes up.
I just want to say I love how we're both standing up doing this. I just realized that. I think that's fantastic.
My email was sent to the insured early on in the process, and I was telling them, you need to be careful what you say to your adjuster, because Country Financial will take every opportunity to deny your claim.
Oh no, you didn't. You just called out the insurance company. Oh no.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Ah! Well, it's in a deposition somewhere in legalese in Oregon, so it's public.
Oh no, you didn't.
And so this attorney, God bless him, reads this email back to me and says, "Mr. McCabe, do you, can you tell me about that statement?" And I said, "We're here, aren't we?" If you hadn't decided to send your insured to the SIU department, we wouldn't be sitting here today. But you did. So you proved my point in my email. I stand by my words. Period. Yeah, they don't. This is a war.
It's where they're at. I bring you back to, we're under attack. We're under attack all the time.
We are, and it's a polite war, but it's a war nonetheless. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars annually, easily hundreds of millions.
And you do the math, paying for one coat of paint in this house and detaching, resetting this baseboard in this house and a roof repair in this house. You add that shit up over millions of claims, half of which, or probably a lot more, everybody throws all these different numbers, that don't get disputed. You know how much money they are saving by not hiring a professional?
I'll do you one better. When I started in restoration in the year 2000, it might as well be 1899, but the year 2000.
I still think 1999, by the way, was like yesterday. I don't know why.
It feels like it. It feels like I had hair back then, though.
You do. You're
Nice.
good, man.
So we did mitigation. We did a lot of mitigation. We were the premier mitigation contractor in the Portland, Oregon area. Guess what we put on the end of all our mitigation invoices? 10 and 10. 10 and 10. What happened? We put 10 and 10 on roofing. Oh my God.
Oh my God. The roofing one drives me crazy.
So can you imagine every mitigation across the country with 10 and 10 added to it?
Right.
Now we're talking billions.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. We got to get, what's it going to take to get that back? It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a war. It's going to take a lot of battles.
Uh-huh.
But I'll battle all day long.
I love it. I love fighting the battle.
Yeah.
How much PA work are you doing now? I mean, obviously I know the bulk is yes.
Not much. Frankly, I need to take your class again. I need to get into Spoon's class. I need to be better. I need to be a better closer. I am a shitty closer.
Explain to somebody and explain to, one of the things when you work a lot with contractors, you put these reports together for them so they could submit it. This actually would be an amazing answer from you that could really, I think, clarify a lot. What is the advantage then? Why hire a public adjuster? I'm going to put you on the spot. Why hire a public adjuster, Andy, if Claim Delegates and Andy McCabe could just come in and give his report to a contractor and let the contractor take care of it? Why hire a public adjuster?
Because the contractor has no leverage. Contractor has no leverage.
All right, I'm going to, this is a 50th minute of the podcast. I'm going to make sure that...
Market.
Well, I mean, it's huge because it's been an issue that I've had, okay? Look, let's face it. My number one referral source is contractors, okay? Obviously, and past clients. That's always going to be number one. So I got to be cool with them. But at the same time, it drives me crazy when these contractors don't team up with PAs in a way. I mean, again, I've got referral sources that are contractors, so I've managed to convince them. But there's how many contractors out there that just, I handle it myself. Why am I going to give up to 10 or 20% when I can do it myself?
55,000.
55,000 what?
Contractors. You said how many? There's 55,000. 55,000 restoration contractors in the United States. I look at macro like what's the total market? What's my target market share? At the end of the day, would I like 1% of the restoration market? Hell yes, I'll take it. But so if I've got a corral of 100 contractors right now, what's it going to take to take my business to 1,000? That's the next level. And it helps when you're thinking along those lines, what's the total? And so, through interviewing with a lot of people in the know a whole lot more than I do, 55,000 is the number. That's how many restoration contractors there are nationwide. But not one of those contractors can go to the adjuster and say, oh, you want to take this? You want to take this off? Well, what part in the policy does it state that you don't owe to put that base shoe back the way it was? The second a contractor says that, the adjuster is going to go, gotcha. You can't talk to me like that. And they're going to just pile on because you can't have that conversation. You got no leverage. You can't talk about the policy. You can't even mention the policy legally. Limits.
To me, that's a big one.
Limits.
There's a limit. Every state's got their limits. And as a contractor, you cannot call them out on those limits. You can't.
You cannot legally have that conversation. And as an owner, you have the ultimate leverage, but none of the education experience. Insureds have all the leverage, but no experience. So you got to get the experience somewhere. And it's not from a contractor. People say that PAs stand to profit from a claim. Yeah, that's how we make our money. Duh. But contractors, I've never met one contractor that looks at an estimate and says, oh, I only want 80% of that estimate. They want the whole freaking thing. So yeah, everyone has a bias. Everyone has a dog in the fight. And, everyone has, I'm trying to first superlatives and I can't find them, but everyone has a reason. So just be upfront about it. Yeah, I'm in it for my 10%. And guess what? If I'm married to your claim for 12 freaking months, that 10% might not be enough. And I got to talk to you and your adjuster.
And we figured out a way to add it on top of the actual build back.
Yeah. Now, don't say that, all y'all out there. Don't promise that, because you're going to get every single adjuster. The first few times you do it, let's say the first 100 times you do that, the adjuster's going to say, we don't pay for that. Hell, that happened to me on a USAA claim last year. Oh, we don't pay for that. They paid everything else. I got them from 70 grand up to 222, but they didn't want to pay my 22. But the fight was gone. At that point, the insured was not willing to fight further. And so we just, all right.
Right.
You're gonna get 200 at the end of the day. You could have got 244, even my 20, but
that's fine.
Whatever.
I mean, ultimately, I'm sure he was satisfied.
You can't show me in that policy where it excludes that fee.
There it is.
Show me.
And you could actually show them in the policy where technically it should be included.
The loss settlement provision, anyone?
That's it. Duties after the loss.
Duties after a loss settlement provision. These things are laid out. They're not complicated, and they're intentionally not detailed. There's so much wiggle room on both sides. But if you're a contractor, you can't even use that. I mean, I would tell you, don't even look at an insurance policy. Actually, my recommendation to contractors, act as if the insurance company doesn't exist. Bill your client, do good work, bill your client. Do good work, bill your client. Client doesn't want to pay, lien them. Period, end of story. Because guess what? There's 2 piles of paper. I'm sure there's more than that, but let's go simplify. 2 piles of paper on an adjuster's desk. One, these have liens on them. These don't have liens on them. These are going to get addressed first.
Right.
And there's another pile with PAs on them. That's going to get addressed before the unrepresented ones. Unless this is incredibly, it's a partial denial or it's 50 cents on a dollar. Yeah, you're going to get that check real quick. But it's the other 50 cents that you hire somebody like us to do.
So
and I'm preaching. God, I'm all fired up.
I know. So hey, I like it. So then why did you, I guess, I know we've got a lot more as a public adjuster, we've got a lot more say in the fight. Is that the reason why you've tried to you took our course and you want to take Cal's course and you want to start practicing a little bit more just to get the practice, or do you actually want to grow that side of your business?
There's more upside. There's more potential upside.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, because when you're working for a wage, I'm working for by the hour.
Right.
And yeah, I've got a nice little pyramid scheme where I've got other people working by the hour and I charge more per hour. It's called entrepreneurism. All right. And subcontractors, the contractors subcontract so they can make money on the margin. So I make money. I make a margin on every hour that somebody else works for me, but it's nowhere near the leverage and the potential of getting 10% of a big, 10% of a million.
10% of a $10 million claim. That's
right. Where I write up that same claim, I write up as a PA, I get 10%. That's $100,000. I write it up for the contractor that does that claim. I might make $2,000,
right?
$4,000, maybe tops. If it goes into $5,000, that contractor's going, man, that's a lot of money.
Right.
Fuck, man, that's made you $1 million. Shut up. Write your check. But anyway, that's hopefully none of my clients hear that.
No,
I love you. I appreciate you.
But yeah, that's exactly it. That's why I tell people this job is the possibilities are endless. Possibilities are endless. The what you could make in this, what you could make. I did a presentation the other day that talked about how you could make how you can get to 7 figures by not really working full time. Because when you break it down, public adjusters or people who are thinking about it, when you break it down, what we make per hour on an insurance claim, you're making thousands of dollars per hour. Like that claim, if you settle $1 million claim and you make $100,000 on that claim, how much time did you really spend on it? And the bigger the claim, the more time you spent. But what did you, maybe 12 hours, Let's say you spent 24 hours on that. You break that down. That's pretty damn good. It's about $1,000 an hour. No, more. 100,000. That's way more. It's crazy. So
Pinches there. But the reason I got to take your class again and take Spoon's class is that I have a tendency to get busy and distracted, and the claim gets old and stale. And I've got 5 open claims right now that are over 6 months old.
Why?
Because I can't figure out for the life of me how to get the adjuster off the ball to start writing checks.
So file a complaint.
Does that do any good? I've done it.
What happens with the complaints is you're just one person, but if we're all doing it as a whole, this is why it's important we all get together. It gets to a certain point where if there's a certain amount of complaints on a particular insurance company, they get audited pretty nasty. I've heard that the DOI looks into it pretty heavily. And I know the DOI is not always on our side either, but I mean, if it's not for nothing, just make their lives a living hell.
I've filed 3 complaints.
On one claim?
Ever.
That's your problem. I filed 3 on one claim.
Oh. Well, I need to do better.
Depending on the limit that they screwed up. Like if I send an email and I don't get a response for over 14 days, I file a complaint. If I send my POL, I don't get a coverage decision within 30 days, I file a complaint. If I don't, it's... See, you gotta look up your statutes and stuff in your...
That's why I've got to take your class again to remind myself.
Unfair Claims Practices Acts.
There's these things. There's these timelines. And I need to take a page from your playbook and hire a letter writer to work for me full time. And I'm sure that
I've thought about that.
I'm sure that helps. Well, you've got a person that does that, doesn't it?
Well, I've got Tammy. Tammy does. She drafts our complaints and stuff because what you have to do. The complaint takes time because you have to look at all your notes of the claim. You have to look at when an email was sent without a response, when the inspection was done, that we haven't heard anything since. And then you have to put all that stuff in the complaint. Going back to us against them though. I just for some reason did you see my story yesterday about my engineering inspection?
No, I didn't. I missed it.
You want to know what the engineer told me? What he was doing? That what his report entails.
Was it the carrier's engineer or your engineer?
It was the carrier's engineer.
No, tell me.
He told me that his report is based on a factual based opinion.
Factual based opinion. Okay.
Isn't that good? Isn't that good?
Wow, that's interesting. Okay.
So I teach my guys to drill the engineers and drill the adjusters. Like, just ask them questions. Just ask questions. And my guy started it was great. I mean, and he's really good, very personable, young kid, good looking kid. And he just knows how to talk to people. And he's just like,
peppering him.
Yeah, he's like, so how long have you worked with the company? Oh, yeah, it sounds like a great company. And he's like, a couple years. After the conversation, we realized he's been there with them for less than a year. And what kind of engineering? Oh, we do structural engineering. But the company does a lot of other kinds of engineering, and they sort of move us around to do different kinds of. We do structural and we do forensics and different.
So
kinds
out of your area of expertise, but you can still provide a factual based opinion.
But what is a factual based opinion?
It's just a fucking opinion.
No, and he says, we do a factual-based opinion based on a non-constructive investigation. And we're like, what is that? What the hell is that?
Non-constructive or non-destructive?
He said, I heard him say non-constructive. Maybe non-destructive. So we're like, what is that exactly? Oh, well, we just sort of take a look at everything, and I have my moisture. Exactly. And we're like, well... And he goes, and he just keeps going. My guy keeps going. He's just like, well, do you take any kind of tests? Do you do any kind of samples? Do you do anything like that? He's like, no. We just, we draw it out and we take a look. We have our moisture reader. We take to see. And I'm like, in my head, I could have hired a water mitigation company to do that. You don't have to do. Why? This engineer thing that they send out is just such bullshit. I've got an engineer that I sent out to a veterinary hospital claim that I have up in Pensacola. And this guy is going in and he's taking the dimensions of the building multiplied by the structure and what it's made out of, multiplied by the wind speeds at the time of day, by the age of the building. He's putting all this together, and he's coming on our behalf so that we can prove.
Sciencing the shit out of it. Yes.
Well, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
These guys just give their opinion, and it's like.
Well, you know what they're paid for their opinion? Peanuts. If you're going to give me $150 to do an engineering inspection, you're going to get $150 worth of my freaking opinion. And I think that's what we need to shed a light on is what are you getting paid to do this? So you paid a guy $150 to drive probably 4 hours to get here, to spend 25 minutes on site to rip me off to the tune of $100,000.
And
look at the
reports,
return. What's the ROI to the carrier on that?
Oh, yeah.
150 gets them $100,000. They'll do that every day of the week. Did you see my interview with Jeremy Reddick?
Oh no, I like Jeremy too. You gotta hook me up with him. I want to get him on my podcast.
Okay, let's make that happen. Let's make that. He's a great guy. He's
Awesome.
been an IA for years, but he's
no. I was supposed to be on his podcast. Jeremy, if you're still listening right now, you canceled on me, son of a bitch. Jeremy, I like you. You're a good guy, but I'm just being sarcastic. But you scheduled me. We need to reschedule. Come on, Jeremy. Where are you at?
So he pulled the curtain back quite a bit, and he's talking about these Wardlaw guys. These Wardlaw guys getting $125, $150 for the inspections.
He's an IA,
not
right?
inspections. No, these were desk adjustments.
But Jeremy's an IA, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So these Wardlaw guys.
What are they? Wardlock? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Warlocks. Yes, they're wizards. No, Wardlaw. 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 It's a big IA firm.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So carriers just drop piles of mitigation invoices on them. Invoices, don't call them estimates. Don't ever call them estimates. It's not a negotiable document. Work was done. All right. So the carrier will drop a pile of these invoices, and they'll just dial for dollars. They'll call up these poor contractors and say, "Hey, we don't think your bill is justified," and their goal is 50 cents on the dollar. But what Jeremy said was killer, and I was like, I shit myself a little bit. I was like, "Oh, God damn it!" He said, "When Wardlaw gets a guy on the phone that doesn't budge, they just kick it back to the carrier, and the carrier pays it." I said, "What the fuck are we doing negotiating with terrorists then?" He's like, "Exactly. Don't do it." So, if you're out there, contractors, if you're out there and some jackass calls you from anywhere and tries to take Code Blue, especially, Code Blue is the worst. You have any experience with them?
No.
They're terrible. You're not even on Code Blue's program, but they'll treat you like they're on the program. Code Blue's thing is they get you on the program. They give you free leads, right? As a mitigation contractor, you go out there, do the work.
They tell you how to do your job.
They tell you how to do the job and how to bill. They actually don't let you bill. They bill for you. So what they'll do is they'll give you 60 cents on the dollar. They're gonna bill the carrier full boat, but they're gonna give you 60 cents on the dollar. That's how Code Blue makes their money. So Wardlaw, if you're a contractor out there and somebody calls you and trying to reduce your bill for work you've already done, just tell them no and hang up the phone. If they call again, don't answer the phone, because guess what? The check's going to come because you're not willing to negotiate with terrorists. Don't play by imaginary rules. Show me the rules.
Back to imaginary rules.
Yeah, it's all for full circle.
I had an adjuster tell me yesterday. He goes through my estimate in an email, like this line item, and he calls my line items inflated. I'm like, dude, these are right from exact. I'm like, first of all, what are you implying by quote inflating quote? Mm-hmm. And these are Xactimate line items. And then I said, as a matter of fact, you know what? Speaking of inflation, we've had a lot of that lately, haven't we? I put this in the email. I'll see if I can find it. Mm-hmm. And this is a claim that you guys have been sitting on for, I think it's a Sally claim. So it's been a year. I wrote up the estimate probably 6 months ago, something like that. So, you know what? You're right. Speaking of inflation, 8%. I said, hey, here's my offer. It was 100% of my estimate is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to give you 24 hours. And if you don't pay that, I said, I'm going to go back to Xactimate. I'm going to plug it in and I'm going to update it. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to inflate. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a lot higher. So what do you want to do?
Period.
Haven't had a response yet. So I guess I should go do that. Probably
I had a guy call me a fraud.
Oh, yeah, I've had that too.
Yeah.
I've called adjusters frauds. I've accused them of fraud before. I had one I had one that she was just adamant about the fact that there was no water damage to the wood floor. And I'm like, what is, like, she was just incompetent. I'm like, there's photos of the damage. No, there was none upon our inspection. Da, 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 da. Like, I said, you are committing fraud right now. We kicked ass on that claim. But it goes down to, you got to like, don't be afraid to say these things in writing. So why'd you get accused of fraud, you fraud?
Well, I put together a mitigation invoice. It's amazing. I love this story because what the adjuster didn't catch was $90,000, one line item for $90,000 for pumping standing water. He didn't touch that. What he wanted to talk about was the fact that my contractor client had some of his owned equipment and he had to supplement with some rented equipment. And I put it all in there as his equipment, charged line item, Xactimate line item pricing, and marked it up 10 and 10. He said, you can't mark up rented equipment. I want to see that invoice. And I said, I'm not sending you that invoice. You haven't earned the right to see that invoice. And he said, well, that's just fraudulent. You're stealing.
And you're like, whoa.
Okay.
Did you?
But beside myself with the $90,000 of pumping standing water. I mean, okay.
As a licensed PA, do you have the leverage to talk as a PA, even though you're not the assigned PA on the claim?
I think I can.
I'm just asking. I don't know how that works.
It's a licensed function, and nothing that I recall in the laws that I've read and the tests that I took said that I can only talk policy on claims that I'm representing the insured on.
I agree.
Yeah, no, but I don't play that card because it frankly just creates too much drama for my clients, unless they want me to go there, but then I can't work for them. I got to work for the insured. Yeah.
Do you have any carrier work?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking. You put together some really kick-ass reports. I've seen them. I wouldn't be surprised.
They don't like them. They don't like them.
They don't like your reports?
2 weeks ago, I got there is an IA that calls me from time to time. They got nobody else near me. Bend, Oregon is this geographic island. I mean, everything else is 3.5 hours away. Portland is 3.5 hours away, everywhere else. So I'll get this. I'm not going to name the carrier. I feel sorry for them, frankly. But I go out, investigate June this year, we had a microburst event, some serious wind and hail, just to a section of Bend. It's like I remember that day because I live on the west side of town. It was the middle of summer, nothing. I show up to work. My office is on the other side of town. There's piles of hail around my office building. I'm like, what the? In the warehouse next door, they're mopping water out the door. I'm like, what the hell happened here? Well, the microburst event, and a bunch of people damaged her. Anyway, so I finally get this claim 2 weeks ago. They say you need to, this roof claim, blah blah. I couldn't get a hold of the insured, but I went out and did my exterior inspection anyway. Got the drone up in the air, wrote up my great sheet, $32,000, I think, siding, roof, gutters, paint. They took one look. They said, well, where's your picture of your inclinometer? What do you measure
for the slope of the roof?
Your pitch meter.
Where's pitch, right.
We need a picture of the pitch meter. And I said, well, I've got the measurements. I did it with my drone. I use this company called Certifly that they do. It's drone-based measurements. They do it right there. I mean, how do you refute that? Oh, and we need you to do a brittle test. I'm like, a brittle test? Well, there's not enough evidence in your photos. I took about 800 to show that the roof is sufficiently. Not enough hail hits per square to justify full replacement. And I responded to that email, said, I'm not your guy. My estimate is good. I've been doing this a long time. Reassign this claim. I got a call from the claim manager. Hey, whoa, no, we don't need to reassign the claim. Let's do this. And, and the insured called me back and I told her, hey, I'm not on the claim anymore. I asked them to reassign it. Here's my number, by the way. This is why they probably don't want me on the claim, because I'm going to be straight up. And I told the insured, ma'am, you've got $32,000 worth of damage. If they come with $10,000, you're being underpaid by 20. Just know that. I'm not going to send you my product because it's their work product. I can't show you my estimate, but that's the number. And then I left, went to, last minute trip to New Orleans last week. And then they reassigned the claim while I was gone. And then the new adjuster's reaching out to me. I haven't reached out to them. I'm morbidly curious to have that phone conversation with the new adjuster. But they don't want me on their claims. The one time I've testified in federal court, I told Amika, you don't want me on the stand because I'm goddamn honest.
Right. And
I stand by my work product. Sitting there in front of a jury of my peers. There's a Mr. McCabe, I see your first estimate was $525,000, but your fourth estimate only has a partial roof replacement. It's $400,000. Can you explain to us what happened? Yeah, the adjuster told me to take the roof out. No more questions. I work IA claims so I can say with a straight face, I work for both sides. Yeah, that's the only reason, because the money's no good.
No.
And it's the drama.
I've seen emails, and I know people who have done estimates for carriers, stuff like that, where the carrier will send back, adjust your depreciation percentage, take this item, take this out, take that out. We don't want this, we don't want that. Dumpster, shorten less of a dumpster load, less permits and fees. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. The minute I put anything less than a full roof replacement on something, that's just a landmine waiting to bite me in the ass 3 years from now when I get called out on it. I won't do it. I don't think it's the right way to do it. I don't think it's fully indemnifying the insured. There's no such thing as a roof patch that's just as good as pre-loss condition. There's 100 different reasons I won't patch a roof. I won't do one face of a roof. It's not the right job to do, but IAs are forced to do it every day of the week. How bad was the hail damage? Pretty bad?
It was bad. Missing shingles. There was obvious strike damage to the gutters. It was bad. I took my drone up that morning. I'm like, I in a little industrial complex. I'm like, oh, there's going to be some work here. I took a drone up. I took photos of, all the soft metal on every building within a mile is damaged.
Do you include sheathing, 100% sheathing when you replace your roof?
That goes in the category of how the fuck should I know? We don't know until that roof is pulled off.
I have in my last two meetings with the adjusters I'm like, if you have a roof claim, get in the fucking attic. Like I went in the attic today. I had an appraisal today, and I went into the attic, and guess what I found? Found damage.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's rot, sir. Oh, really? I mean, how do you think the rot was created, jackass?
Well, you still need a nailable surface.
Well, that's the other one, right? Cal actually taught me that. I have it somewhere up here. Right. So warranty, right? Shingle warranty states that it needs to be nailed into a solid nailable surface. And once you yank that nail out and you put a new shingle in, it's no longer a solid nailable surface, correct?
Not in my opinion. But there's a reason that carriers don't want anyone to do demolition or mitigation before an adjuster sees it. Because the perfect case in point, last week I inspected several properties with no mitigation's been done. And 4 weeks beyond the event, I'm not going to pick up a whole lot with my moisture meter, but I know that wall was probably damaged. But until I pull it apart, I can't see it. I can't tell. So an IA running through that property, they're going to write a 10 cents on a dollar estimate because it's not damaged. I can't tell. In my factual opinion, it's not damaged.
I tell these mitigation guys who, again, what did you say? Make-believe rules. They're following these make-believe rules because they're afraid of the insurance company, and they're just like, I can't rip it out. And I tell them, like, rip that shit out. I said, take a photo before, take a photo of your moisture reader, and fucking rip it up. Tear it up.
When in doubt, tear it out. Period. End of story. Because I can't write a repair estimate for something you haven't damaged yet. So get it done.
Tear it up.
Tear it out.
Do the flood cut.
Mold here. Oh, there's mold 2 inches above the base.
Take out the baseboard. Pull the wood floors up. Glue it down. I don't care.
Take it out.
Take it out.
That's your job. That's your job, mitigation guys. Get it out of there.
Oh,
Because
and mitigate, and like you said, the code blue, like people, they go in there and they just set up a couple DQs and a blower, and they're just like, you'll be fine. We'll be back in a couple days. They don't tear out anything. And then you got mold, and I walk in there and it smells like mildew and mold, and they got blowers on, blowing it everywhere.
Yeah. And I can't write. I made a brief video. I went to Facebook Live before testing on my equipment, minutes before we got on here. And I said, I can't write a good sheet if you haven't done the demo, because I have no idea what I'm writing for. It's all imaginary. And I'm not a big fan of creative writing. I'm not a creative writing expert. I'm an Xactimate estimate. Xactimate is what needs to be done. If I can't see it, if I can't document it, I can't put it in my estimate. It's just so many problems with folks just being all timid. Oh, the insurance company didn't give me a green light. Who the fuck do you work for? Get it straight.
That's right.
Now I'm really preaching.
They're afraid.
Act like a contractor. Work for your client. Bill your client.
Well, you're an expert. You took this IRS QRCD certification and HAG or alert or whatever to run other roofing. You're supposed to be an expert. So what are you supposed to do if you see the damage? You're supposed to just remove it, get it out.
The latest version of the S500 states that very clearly. You are the on-site expert. You make the final determination of what needs to happen on that job site. You own that job site. So act like it.
You know how many conversations I've had with mitigation guys that I send out there? I know these guys. They call me like, well, what do you think I should do, Vince? And I'm like, I'm the claims policy expert. You're the water mitigation expert. What do you think you should do? Well, there's a lot of damage. And I'm like, so then what do you think you should do, bro?
Fix
You should
it.
probably tear it out. Yeah, tear it out.
Yeah. Tear it out.
They
want
company
permission.
going to say,
So many
just
people,
take photos before.
This goes beyond our industry. We have this weird culture of asking for permission for things that we know better. If I'm driving the car, I'm not going to ask my 12-year-old in the back seat which lane I should be in. I'm driving the goddamn car. Drive the car. Make it happen.
I like
Tear it
it.
out.
We've got make-believe rules we've learned today. Asking for permission. On a roll.
Right. Well, we've done this once or twice, haven't we? We've done this once or twice.
Yes, we have. Well,
so where are you going? I'm gonna flip a little bit. Where is Elite Resolutions? Where's Vince Perry going?
The podcaster to the podcaster.
The 6 to 12 months. Let's go more general. Where does this industry go? Because I agree with you what you said earlier about we used to be fighting each other worse than we would fight the carrier. Now I think that environment is changing. We're realizing that, hey, we're stronger together than we are fighting each other. So where's this industry going? Where is PA and restoration? I mean, Mother Nature's serving up 1,000-year events at 3-year intervals. Where are we going next year or so?
For me, as far as Elite Resolutions is concerned, I'm trying to really build a team to get to the point where I don't necessarily have to sign nearly as many claims, where I can train the guys. I guess sign large loss, or if we get a storm, I'll sign. But even then, and it's difficult for a PA owner, I know, because even if the owner's not signing claims and getting that 100% and not having to give away like a percentage, it's hard. So I'm hoping that I could build a team large enough where everyone's getting a nice fair share. I'm still able to make up for the lack of claims, and then any claims that I get, and I get just being the commercial claims advocate, I get messages all the time. Hey, I got a claim here. I got a claim there. I'd rather just give it to these guys. Like, hey, you guys take care of it. We're going to be sort of watching over the whole thing. I train them, and now I do a training every other week with the adjusters.
Okay.
I try to go out to the
in-house guys, or is that open to you? Train your in-house folks?
Well, I'm going to get there. So for only the in-house guys, I try to train them. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm actually I'm part of an inner circle, like mastermind group of roofers and salespeople. Mm-hmm. And I would like to try to start building a team I want to start recruiting. Like, Andy McCabe, who does estimates, doesn't really know much about public adjusting or whatever. Just somebody, when you started, you said you were working you said you were working somewhere, whatever. There's some waiter that I go to a restaurant. Dude, actually, I did it today with my banker, who I've known for a long time. He's probably in his early 20s. And I'm always in there depositing nice size checks, and I'm depositing one today. And I'm just like, dude, you should really think about it. He's like, yeah. He's like, what do you do exactly? Because I had like my shirt on, and I tell him, I explain, I said, you should come out. I said, what if I could come, you could come work for us. Obviously look for claims. I'll train you how to look for claims. I'll even, if you start bringing in a decent amount of claims and I'm training you how to do everything, I may pay for your license on to do it. And then you start working I want to start doing that, recruiting and really building a team here in Florida and Texas. And then as far as the commercial claims advocate, yeah, probably a lot of consulting there as well. Just making sure we're doing this right, There's too much when I first started. You don't know how many claims I did, and I never even took a photo. Oh, yeah. I would just put an estimate together, submit my LOR, submit an estimate, let's go. Oh, yeah, in the beginning, I wasn't trained. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't trained at all. I mean, I was literally just a sales guy. That's the big epidemic here in Florida, too, is they hire a lot of adjusters to be sales guys. Like, no, you got to train them how to do the work.
Oh man,
they don't take their jobs, I guess, seriously enough. So that's what I'm trying to do. I want to help with the industry. Just really, I love the coaching. That's just my passion. I mean, I was a tennis coach for 15 years, man.
Okay.
I mean, I taught kids from 4 years old to 94 years old.
Mm-hmm. I like it,
and that's what I want to do. Give back to the industry that's given me so much.
I think you're 100% on with the talent. You're not hiring someone with a PA skill set. You're looking for someone with a mindset and a specific heart. Sales is one thing, but also service is another thing. Mm-hmm. I bought a really expensive bike this year, so I could try to keep up with my boys on the downhill.
A bicycle?
A bicycle, yes. For all you bike nerds out, you spoke nerds out there, it's a Transition Sentinel full carbon double XL, 150 travel front and rear. Got the full remote.
But you're in Oregon. That's got to be more of like a mountain bike, right? Like that's got to be more. That's not a road.
It's a full-on mountain bike. It's a full-on downhill mountain bike. I mean, like catching air and trying not to die, but I am so broken. Anyway, I'm glad.
I was going to say, you're not going to be standing up on this interview if you start doing that too much.
Dude, you should see my knee right now. It's about this big around.
Oh God.
So, but the guy, I've got my favorite bike shop here in town. And one of the managers there is the guy that was working, when you buy a $7,000 bicycle, you go through some steps, right? You're going to Walmart and buying a Schwinn. You're going through some steps. And this guy was amazing. He was great. A great salesman. He knew his stuff, but he knew me. By the end of it, he knew me better. And he's asking me, and you drop 7 large on a bike, the guy's going to ask, where do you get that money? Right. I mean, what do you do for a living? So I was telling him, and, I was explaining to him, I got to go to here, got to go there and running this stuff. But he's like, are you hiring? In the back of my mind, I'm like, this guy be a great hire. This guy be amazing. He's good with customers. He's smart. He picks up stuff. He's willing to learn. I mean, that's what we got to look for as anyone, just business owners. We got to fill that talent gap and start early and often, finding dudes that to come in here, because this is not an industry people go seek out.
Nobody, when they're a kid, is saying, I want to be an insurance adjuster when I grow up, or let alone a public adjuster. I mean, I think everybody has a very similar story where they just happen to meet somebody who said they were a public adjuster, and their follow-up question was, what the hell is that? That was my story. I was teaching tennis to this guy, and I'm like, how are you able to afford 4 tennis lessons a week at like $70, $80 a pop and have the time to attend them all?
Yeah, and the time. There's very few, I don't know about this, but I think there's very few professions out there that take such a low beginning skill set and have such an upside.
Yes.
I mean, I've got my boys in lessons, skateboarding, mountain biking, snowboarding. So that season's starting now. Each one of those comes with very expensive equipment. I mean, I've set up my boys with new, and they're growing right now. So this year's a new snowboard kit all over again. And then we're talking about $700 at least per kid. Mm-hmm. And then I'm about $5,000 deep in lessons for both of them for the season. Where else can I go and make enough money to support something like that?
and you started with nothing. Like you started with no knowledge, and you learn. I think that's why I'm sort of trying to make that shift, and I think that's why I want to relate it to like these roofers and contractors who hire these door knockers. You know, come out, start as that, learn the ropes. You know, I'm going to pay you, I don't know how much per week just to go out, hustle, see what you could find, inspect the loss, take photos. It's not hard to take photos. Is there a way to take photos? Yes, I'll teach you that. If you know how to freaking take your camera and take photos, take measurements, sketching, I'll teach you how to sketch in a day. You know, it's not hard. Or get a Matterport.
You don't have to sketch anymore.
You love
Stop
that fucking
sketching.
Matterport.
Get a fucking Matterport. You know,
I was actually thinking, not Matterport, but like my big things are, I have 3 tools that I always use. I have a flashlight, a laser measure, and a water moisture meter. I was thinking every new guy that comes in, I'm just order for them. What's that going to cost? $150 for all 3? $200? I don't have that. It's not fancy stuff. Here's what you need to do what you got to do.
What meter are you using?
Oh, I don't use a good one, but it works for me.
Okay, I was gonna say.
You were the techie, man. You and Rico, remember on the course, you're just like, I've got the S5000, 300, whatever, and I'm just like, dude, come on. But no, anyway.
I won't put a meter in a guy's hand less than $700.
Oh God, no! So unnecessary.
But we've got a different setup though. I mean, your needs are different than my needs. But my favorite guy, my partner down in Metairie now, I found him on a temp crew in Houston. I pulled him off a temp crew because I was doing consulting on the same property he was doing demo on, and we just struck up a conversation. I liked his vibe. I mean, he was not a temp crew guy, and he needed more. He was worth more. So I stole him. I stole him from my own company. I was consulting for ATI, and he was working a temp crew for ATI doing demo. But now we're still working together because he had the right set of skills. And so, you know, right now I've got $15,000 worth of equipment in his hands in New Orleans. You know, I shipped him a drone, I shipped him my meter, I shipped him he's running the Matterport, but that small investment is gonna be a 10x or 100x return long term.
100%. I agree. Equipment is very important. Having everything I like what you said in the beginning is just have everything in there. 800 photos, have your markers, have your moisture, just get a freaking thick file, present it to them, and just be like, that's it. Here's what it is. You can't do much after this.
Well, I think PAs need to leverage current state of technology and services better, because you've got enough to deal with as a PA with the policy and the client and the, you know, everything else. Let the mitigation contractor do the moisture map. Let these other guys do these, you know, build the team that way. I'm a big fan of, you know, when there was a carrier back in the day that started putting moisture meters in their adjuster's hands. And I said, that's the dumbest thing you could do. Don't put a moisture meter in an adjuster's hands. Lean on your contractors.
I agree.
Let the experts do it.
I come in when there's a problem. That's the role that I'm playing now as far as with my company is, Vince, they're not, here's what they said. What should we say? And then I come and I go like this. You know? And I'm trying to train my guys to do that too. But Andy.
Put it in writing. Don't make a phone call. Put it in writing.
Only an hour and a half. That's it. We did good.
I think we're good. Yeah. It's good to hear from you, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on, even though I have a confession to make. Remember we scheduled this and you're just like, oh shit, 2 months from now or something like that. And I was like, yeah. I actually looked at the calendar wrong. I skipped over a month by mistake. And then I like put you in. I'm like, oh, October. And then after we scheduled, I'm just like, why didn't I just schedule them like 2 weeks from now or something like that? And then I was like, whatever, it's already scheduled. I don't have to worry about that. I'll fit
on the books.
In, you know,
hey, who are we to know that a hurricane was going to hit?
Oh, that's true. You wouldn't have been able to do it anyway. Thank you so much for finding the time. I'm sure you're swamped.
Yeah, man. We are busy, but it's always good to see you, Vince.
So I'm going to do a nice intro for you in the beginning. So I'm going to put all your stuff. Before I let you go, is there anything, am I right? I'm going to tell them about LinkedIn because you are very active on LinkedIn. I'm going to tell everybody about...
LinkedIn is my number one referral source right now.
The 24hourtech.com is what you want me to say, or you want to like say something else?
I think I've got a different URL.
It comes up. I wrote in what you told me, but then it came in as
waterdamageprofit.com is easier to remember.
Oh, that's fancy.
Water damage profit.
Yeah, but then it goes into 24-hour tech.
And then it forwards to
Okay. All right. So hold on. Water damage.
And then water tech course. That's a good one. I think you should. I tell you what, I'm going to give you in all your infinite time to review stuff. I'm going to give you a login to that.
Okay.
So you can see how I have it set up. And I think pull whatever you feel the need for your course. I mean, I think what I have is a good system to lay it out. Have you written it yet? You have anything but an outline?
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've just got an outline. What do you mean? What do you mean written it? Why do I have to write it?
Why don't you write a book?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it into a book.
Why don't you do that first?
Book first?
Yeah.
No, because I'd rather take the video, take the content from the video, give it to a writer to take it, extract it, and turn it into a book.
Oh, okay. Well, then you don't have to write it.
Yeah. I know.
Well, I went the other way. So the 24-hour tech is based on a system that I developed at ServiceMaster. And so it was essentially just a 5-page checklist. So I took that checklist and wrote the book. Then I took the book and made the course.
Who do you use to put this thing up here? Like what software? I'm looking at Water Tech course.
Thinkific.
Is it Thinkific?
Yep.
We're either going to use Thinkific or the other one, a Jobby, something like that.
Yeah, I played with a few, and Thinkific just seemed pretty straightforward and easy.
We're probably going to use Thinkific.
Yeah. Who are you using for your podcast hosting?
The famous one.
You got to get on Jeremy Reddig's thing. He's got a slick setup. I mean, it's tits. You watch the video and it automatically switches from, the talker to the talker, but it feels like we recorded it and it was like the next day that podcast was up. It felt that quick. So he's got
I got to text him.
Yeah.
I got to text him. He totally bailed on me for his show. I don't know what, I know I just use Zoom. I record the Zoom and then I have somebody who edits it, which is probably a pain in the ass, but I'm just not techie, man. I'm this guy, dude. I'm like this. I swear. Everybody's just like, bro, you're so good with all your stuff. You got it all under control. I'm like, you have no idea.
No clue. No, man, it's called delegation.
All right, so waterdamageprofit.com, watertechcourse.com to make sure that people go there. Yeah. LinkedIn is your main thing.
Then the YouTube channel is the Claims Delegates
channel.
Yes, Claims Delegates. It's not Andy McCabe. So.
Okay. All right, Andy.
I get a couple $100 a month from Google for advertising on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, so do I. It's pretty fun.
It is fun. It's mailbox money. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny is Alina Wilson.
Yes. I'm going to have her on tomorrow.
XM8 Mastery.
I'm going to have her on tomorrow.
Well, do yourself a favor. Go watch one of my videos, and I bet her advertisement's going to come up before it.
Oh, because she's not stupid.
You should bring it up. It's like, so you advertise on Claims Delegates YouTube channel? No, she ain't stupid.
Let me see. Do I have her tomorrow? Yep, Alina. I got Alina tomorrow.
Nice. Making the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, this one's probably not going to be up for, I don't know, probably like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So, Andy, you are the man.
If you're not opposed to it and you want me to rebroadcast, I'm not opposed to that either.
No, of course. Once we finish it, the week or the day of, we're going to send you everywhere that it's on. And then, you mean like give you the actual video to put it on yours?
And then I put it on my channel with all the stuff you put in it.
Hell yeah.
So it's free advertising for you. It's redundant content, but most people are not going to see it twice because we have different audiences.
For sure. Let's do it.
I did that with Jeremy's, and it's one of the most watched videos already.
That's awesome.
And it's got all his stuff on it. So
makes you look good.
Exactly.
Helps us. It's like both ways. It works both ways.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Andy. Thanks a lot, man.
you,
Don't
boss.
work too hard. Go take a nap.
Right. Right. We'll see you.
See you later.